Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today we're going to talk about what you should be looking for in a first job and why I think this is a critical point in some of the issues, failures, and reasons maybe you might want to go the opposite direction with this. So I think it is most beneficial for first time, students that are coming out of grad school, undergrad, whatever, to start at a nice, big, well-established firm here. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but those jobs are hard to get and yada, yada, yada. I get it. I understand. But let me make a case here on why I think this is beneficial here. Working at big firms is you have a really nice structure, process, procedure for success here. Like if you go to work at one of the big banks, one of the big hedge funds, even a prop firm that's been around 20 plus years, even if it's a little bit smaller here, but having those firms that are long tenure and have had good success over the years, it is obvious that they know what they're doing and they have systems and processes built. When you do this, when you start a career, you start to see how all the pieces are put together. And when you start a first job, typically it's you in a giant sea of corporate, employees and processes and procedures and everything. You typically only see the little tiny space around you and you're just in this little pocket, which is fine. But you learn how to do your job correctly, well, and established. That's kind of the goal here. And there's also a lot of opportunity to kind of move around as you grow through a big firm. Now, whether you stay or go is a whole other discussion, but as you kind of move around, you get to really see how successful firms operate and handle sorts of tasks and departments and culture and a bunch of other facets here. Now, you might not fit at that firm and that's fine. It's a first job, right? You're typically there a few years and then you bounce and go find something else to do. But I think big firms help lay that sort of foundation here. Now, I see a lot of people say, hey, go find a startup, go do your own startup. This is a great time to learn. It's an amazing opportunity. But what I end up finding is people join these really small firms that don't have the structure and support systems around them. And then you learn to do things not a very efficient way. Might not necessarily be the wrong way, but it's not a great way to do it. And people say, oh, you'll learn. That's why so many small startup firms fail in the first thing. It's like 5 years or 7 years because they just don't have the skills, the people all in place to put it together. Now, I'm going to put this out here as a warning as well for investing funds because I see a lot of young people say, hey, there's this new fund. It's these 3 people from, I don't know, big name, fancy, put some fancy name on here, funds or firms. Same as with the crypto fund I was looking at joining, and they were like, oh, they've got people from Meta, they've got people from Microsoft and Apple, and these employees are great and wonderful. That's fine. But again, now you're kind of risking this, like you're starting a new business, there's not the stability, and those individuals, whether it's 4, 10, or whatever, typically only see their little area in some sort of institution here. So if you get brought in, for example, on model development, quantitative finance, validations, quant dev, implementation, all that sort of stuff, and you're brought into this, and that's not their core function, you're not going to have great leadership with that. And I was being brought in to run and develop and design and put all this stuff together for them, but I knew they didn't have the experience doing this part of it, and it was going to be a challenge to get the firm up and running to do this in the crypto space. Again, you have these pros and cons with the startup here, but I would argue when you start a career on a bad foot, a company goes under, or you learn to do things just inefficiently or even the wrong way, it is very hard to correct those 5 years, 10 years into a career because now you're stuck doing things because this is the way you were taught to do it or you were thinking this is the best way to do it. So that is my advice. I think it is very critical to start at a big firm or at least a successful firm because, a lot of prop firms, hedge funds can be quite small, but if they've got good track record, it helps indicate they have good success. Firms that have tenure tend to do things the right way. And I would search, if I were you, for a job that helps train you well to start. And then you can always take those skills and leverage them to help some sort of smaller company or do some sort of startup. But at least you have a good, solid foundation to start on. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And as always, until next time.